too, but that's okay.
All right. Or we could just chat about this and then just
Well,
implement
so
it.
something that's interesting is that I've been not editing these videos.
Yeah.
So
I don't like the
if
editing.
you, I mean, I don't mind doing it, but it's funny because like I was like, I watched our episode 2, and then like we concluded like we would normally conclude. Like, oh, FIFO, woo,
FIFO.
see ya. And then like you and I just started talking about what we're gonna do next. And I was like, that part's actually probably pretty valuable to people. So I feel like
Oh,
we
it's like
should
a
do
yeah,
the
it's like a
yeah,
trade.
it's like but that's like the interesting I think that's where people find it interesting too, is like
Yeah,
this is like the
let's end the
behind the
show
scenes stuff.
and then continue to talk maybe for like 5 minutes of
Yeah,
just saying,
we'll finish just like naturally like we've been doing. So it's the same thing like we're doing now. So like talking about the framework and the format. So we'll intro like 1 to 2 minutes of just like John of like, catching up, whatever, how was the weekend kind of shit.
mhm.
Then introduce the topic, and then past, present, future relevant to the topic for both of us. Then goal setting
Goal
for the
setting.
week to
Hmm.
wrap up at the end.
Yeah, that's a recap.
Goal setting recap, and then outro.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think we got it, and that'll fill an hour. Let's keep it
Oh,
to
easily.
an hour.
I'm gonna get a cup of coffee real quick.
Sounds good.
All right. All right, I'm back. Oh man, I needed some coffee. Cool. And then the last thing I'll throw out there, just as a thought, we should just keep winging the intro until we figure out an intro that sticks, and then we could throw like music behind it and like do like a proper intro.
Yeah, I think the how you started is good, and then I jump in and say my piece. I think make it quick. It doesn't have to be like super long, drawn out, and everything. And then we could say it's something like you do yours, and I go FIFO, flow in, flow out. I start flexing or doing something, kind of do like my piece that everybody usually uh Used
Did
to.
you let that? You gotta do like the Terry. Was it Terry Williams? Is that his name? Terry. What's his name? That big black dude that he was like on the Old Spice commercials, and he's like, oh, and like his pecs are flying around.
Terry Crews.
Terry Crews. There it is.
Crews.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll do something like bodybuilding, like I'll flex or like maybe
That's
I'll do that.
funny. That's funny. All right, cool. Let me finish itching my fucking eyeball.
Me too, dude.
Word.
All right.
Ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
What's up, guys? It's FIFO, your boy Samnang here, Danny Marawinski, co-host, and we are here to raise the collective vibrations every week. We're coming in Monday at 6 a.m., Friday at 4. We go
Hmm.
over all sorts of different topics from personal development, entrepreneurship, and even just being a generally good human being. And we also are setting ourselves goal setting. And just as a reminder, Sam Nang and I, we went to high school together, haven't talked since then, over 20 years of no communication. You can go back to episode 1 and see that we started this podcast on a whim, and we've been growing it ever since. So thank you for being here. And let's kick off this episode. So, Sam
Wow.
Nang,
Wow, Danny.
what's that like, huh?
Bravo. You
Is that a
just won
decent
that.
little
Oh, amazing.
intro?
He was like half asleep before he jumped on this episode. That it was just like
Dude, you
amazing.
got to have the switch, man. That
On.
was you know the coaching switch.
Yeah, dude. So my intro is this. I'm supposed to like flex and do something and say,
Ah,
"Go
there
in,
it is.
let's go, baby, let's go." You know, it's Monday. Monday, we gotta come
It's
in
Monday,
strong.
baby.
It is
Monday's
strong.
my favorite fucking day of the week, dude. I fucking hate Fridays. You know one of the things that I fucking hate the most?
What?
I don't know if this irks you or not. When people go, "Happy Friday." I'm like, "Why can't it be a fucking happy Monday? Why can't it be a happy Tuesday?"
Yeah,
Everybody builds this up all the way up to like Friday, and they're like, "Happy Friday." And I'm like, why? Because now we get 2 weeks, two days off your weekend. You don't have to think about work, so it's happy. Like, I
yeah,
don't know, pisses me
dude.
off.
My
I like Mondays. I
my
like working.
Mondays, I stack them. Today's gonna be one of my hardest days of the week. So today I got leg day. Leg day
Ooh,
is a hard day. This like my leg days are so like legendary. It takes like 3 or 4 days to like recover. Now since I made this like little quantum jump, my body recovers a lot faster. So almost like everything is improved. So but typically I would just go and smash it, and then it'll be like a day or two to recover and everything. But leg
ooh.
days is one of my mantras. Is like don't skip leg days, guys, because this is it's one of the hardest days of the week. And the reason why we don't skip leg days is because it builds like mental fortitude and it carries on throughout the day. Because the legs are the biggest muscles, they're the foundation of like the physique and everything. So that's why I'm always like, don't skip fucking leg day. Don't skip leg day. Um, but yes, side note, to continue on with the conversation, our mission is extremely important. And I like this word elevate because I want to teach you guys a little bit about the vibrational chart. I don't think we talked about the vibrational chart, which is
Mm.
very important because our topic today is going to be about gratitude. And gratitude is a great emotion, but there's also ways to actually have emotions higher than gratitude. So I do want to talk about the vibrational chart because also we want to make sure that our podcast is like interesting enough where you guys learn something as well too. So that's part of our mission. But the mission is to elevate the collective vibrations. And I have this chart, and I'm actually teaching it at Peak Performance Academy. This chart is developed by Dr. Joe Dispenza. But the lowest like emotions we have is loss, pain, victimization, suffering, shame, guilt, fear, anger. Those are those low vibration emotions when you feel triggered and everything. And then gratitude is near like in the 80%. Um, I wish I had a computer to. I'm switching my computer to so we could show it. But
Can you
there,
send it to me? I can
yeah,
pull
I
it
can.
up. Send it
Let
to
me.
me on.
Okay, let me send it right now. Give me a second.
This is
So for
how technically savvy we are with this whole process, right?
yeah, we just figuring it out. That's the process. So it's a PDF, and
Got it.
I'm gonna be teaching this. So above gratitude, it's appreciation, joy, love, freedom, and bliss. So the purpose
Yeah, I'm
is if
pulling
you're
it
in a
up.
state of gratitude, a lot of people are in a state of gratitude, there are higher emotions that could lead to more productivity, a better life, a better quality of life. So that's the mission behind the podcast. That's my why for today. You always got to think about your why.
Got to think about the why, bro.
Yeah,
Let's
it's always
see.
about the
I got
why.
it up right here. Here it comes. Coming in hot.
Coming hot. Okay, cool. So this is some esoteric stuff that you might not understand. So you need a translator like me for the woo.
Do
All
you want
right,
me to
go
go
down
down
one.
or?
Yeah, one more. That's it right there. So that is the vibration chart, right? You could actually, I did a coaching call about habits and how it compounds over time. It doesn't seem like it's immediate to elevate this, so that's why I provided the coaching at Peak Performance Academy. Is if you're in these like low states, sometimes it's very hard to get out of it without support. Um, Somebody that's elevated and somebody that's been there could really help. So if you're feeling some type of emotions here in the low vibrational state right here, and that's what we call it, low vibe. And for me, it's like it's hard to get out of there without support. So that's why we're talking so much about raising vibrations and helping our friends. So the higher you get, where you're getting the bliss and the freedom, that's where a lot of the productivity, that's where all the healing starts to happen. So if you guys are spiritual healing, any type of healing or like type of therapy or shadow work and everything, this is the type of work that I did to get myself outside after therapy. So I did therapy and then I did coaching, and the coaching program that I went through taught me this, and then I learned this, and then I also took like another life certification. So I am not an expert at it, but I'm fairly certain I can help people raise vibrations. That's why we're here on the podcast. So
So I'm just gonna pause this too for any of those of you guys that are listening, say in your car or whatever, on this, and you want to see it. It's figure 2.2. Go to samnang.com and samnangman.com and hit him up, and I'm sure he'll be able to get you connected with this chart so you can take a look at it. It's
yeah,
a PDF download. He just sent it to me, super simple. So yeah, hit up Sam Nang,
it'll be
Facebook, or
what it'll be in the Peak Performance Academy. So if you're
there you
interested,
go.
it'll be inside the and this is what I'll be teaching and coaching and stuff. So it's not I mean it's somebody that's experienced it, that has gone from these lowest vibrations and been able to pull himself out with other people. It helps a lot. So that's like always my message is like, how do I help my community? And to me, physical health and mental health is so important. It's I, the thing is, I paid a lot of money to fix my brain. You know, I don't tell a lot of people what the dollar figure is. It's a lot. So the amount of money that I charge and at Peak Performance Academy and like how much free content I want, I actually prefer people to just get the information and actually work on it. And the way to build up these elevations, so it's gratitude. So today we're gonna talk about gratitude.
Well,
Uh,
hold on. Before you jump into it, because I'm curious now. Okay, so I'm looking at the chart here. I see bliss at the top, right, and I see lust at the bottom,
yeah.
and then I want to ask you a quick question about lust because they put lust below pain,
Uh,
victimization, suffering, shame, guilt, fear, anger.
mm,
All of those vibrations sit above lust. Now, I'm just wondering because isn't lust like it's your lust for like sex, right? Like being horny, right?
I don't
Am
know.
I
I
or
don't.
is it like or could it be like your desire? Is lust like synonymous with desire, like lust for power?
I think so. I think it's like lust for things that you don't need. I'm not 100% sure on that.
Okay. Because I
Uh,
was thinking to myself, I saw lust and I was like, dude, if I feel like being horny is a pretty high vibration in my life, at least. I don't know.
yeah, me too.
Like when I'm like I don't necessarily feel like it's an emotion that's
I think maybe
worse
lust is
than
like wanting something that it's like maybe instead of having just like one wife, you want 10 wives. I guess that's
okay.
lust. I think that's, but I don't know why it's in the survival emotions. I didn't make this chart.
All good. We'll keep
But,
going.
and also too, yeah. So I guess we could lead it. Do you want to just lead into like the meat and potatoes, or do you want to talk about how we're formatting uh the show? We figured out how to
Uh
format.
you could I mean we can here, I'll stop the share. So but we can talk about the format. That's fine. So like what we're gonna do is like you guys just saw, so we'll intro the show. We're gonna do like a 2 minute catch up, and then we're gonna Samnang's gonna or one of us are gonna introduce the topic, and then when we go into the topic, we're gonna go through our past, our present, and our future. And again, none of this is scripted, right? So like we're just figuring it out as we go, but that's kind of the framework
Yeah,
for how we're gonna do it, and then we're gonna finish off with our goal recap. So every episode, we're talking about goals that Samnang and I are working on, and then we'll go through outro, and then we'll keep the camera recording. So any behind the scenes communication, you'll get that too.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that's it. So yeah. So today, raising the collective vibrations, and we're going to be diving more into that too. It's something newer for me. Like I understand it to some degree, in
yeah,
the sense that like I definitely talk about in my life, even like last episode's story when I was telling about like keep just staying positive and keeping positivity out in the ether. I definitely believe in that and like energies and flow of energies. So I love the collective vibrations. And today specifically gratitude, which is interesting because I got obviously some stuff to contribute into gratitude too when the time comes. But let's why don't you kick it off, man? So tell, what is gratitude? How do you define gratitude? And then let's go into how, when did that first start coming into play into your life?
yeah. I guess gratitude is just a feeling. It's emotion. It's one of these emotions on the vibrational chart. So, um, you could say you're grateful for something, but actually feeling gratitude and practicing it. For me, gratitude is an emotion that has to be felt. And today, that's the reason why I told Danny, I was like, we need to dedicate an episode to our support system, family, friends. I know he'd be like, yeah, yeah, we need to thank them. I mean, it's a good topic because I don't think we would have, I don't would, like, I don't, from where I am now, I wouldn't been here for like my family, and they're one of my biggest inspiration, and my community as well too. So I wanted to dedicate some the this episode to some of the most important people that have supported me on this journey and will continue to support me on this journey. I think gratitude is, like I said, it's an emotion, and that has to be felt, and that has to be expressed as well too. So if you appreciate somebody in your life, if it's like your spouse, if it's your kids, if it's your mentor, your coach or something, you tell them, right, and express to them, hey, look, I'm grateful for you being in my life. Like Danny, I am grateful that you came into my life and started help me start this podcast, right? We don't
Likewise,
do that
man.
because it's like because it took a lot off of my plate as well too, because I was planning to do something with like YouTube, relaunching my YouTube or doing some type of blog, and I was like, this is the perfect thing. It just showed up. And when you're going on this journey, and I want to tell everybody, like, when you make a spiritual awakening and everything, and literally I was just like, all right, I'm just gonna fucking go with it. And I asked my coach, I was like, how do I figured out how do I find people's. She said, you will find people on the journey, and when they're on the journey with you, they'll help, and if they're on the same vision. And I was like, man, she said that, and then you joined, and I was like, oh my god, this is amazing, because I was looking for help in the digital marketing space because I know it's such a big part of business and stuff. So one, I want to express gratitude to you, my co-host, and our friendship that's kind of evolved into podcasting and influencing our friends and our family as well too. And then I wanted to give you the floor, and then I want to thank some of my close families as well too, and my communities.
Well, I'm definitely grateful for our interaction too. So not to get too sappy with everybody and like go down that rabbit hole, but like it's true. Like I am 100% grateful that, dude. I mean, what started, I still like. I think I'll forever be grateful for us starting this and like the way that this even started, right? And like our communication in the process and who you are, and like again to your point, like I talk about it. And it's funny because when I think I've said this before in my life with my current wife, I went through a past divorce, and the one thing that I had in moving forward with finding a new wife, right, was that we needed to have the same vision, the same journey, and we needed to be on the same wavelengths.
Yeah,
So me and my ex, when I was high, she was low, and then when she was high, I was low. And
yeah,
we would always collide in the middle, right? So if we were waves, like if I was a sine wave, she would be a cosine wave, right? So we were constantly like doing this. Me and my now wife were on the same wavelength, right? So like, and we both have the same journey or missions for our family, which is if we're on a high, we're on a high together.
yeah.
If we're going through the shit, we're in the shit together, right? So I just bring that up because
Huh?
so
That's
I
interesting.
did feel that with you, right? And it's very relevant to vibrations. Like I felt like in our journey and where we're headed, right? We both are going through these highs and lows through this crazy maze called entrepreneurship, and quite frankly in life, right? All of us go through highs and lows, period. But in business, it's interesting because the business itself can dramatically affect your life, right? In the sense that all of a sudden you wake up tomorrow, you have a post go viral, and you have 1,000 people subscribe to, your Peak Performance Academy. That would be an extreme high for you. Or if all of a sudden you've been running Peak Performance Academy and for whatever reason 1,000 people drop off of it, that would be extreme low, right?
Yeah,
So like business can affect you on that front. And the gratitude part I think is interesting and something I want to kind of pull the thread on, because I love what you said. Like there's a difference between saying that you're grateful and actually being grateful, like feeling it, like deep in your soul. And I've I started practicing gratitude earlier this or last year actually, like truly proud. Like it's part of my thing. I'll get into in a little bit, but I mean, how do you really define that feeling, right? And when do you
yeah,
know that you're actually feeling it versus just saying it, right? Because I think a lot of us understand, and like there's a lot of talk right now, especially in personal development. There's a lot of talk in business. There's a lot of business books, a lot of things like that that are like you need to practice gratefulness
yeah. How to
every
actually,
morning. Go
yeah.
off your 10 things that you're grateful for,
And they be like,
right?
ooh,
And yeah, right. Um, but like how do you feel it? And I think like if I it does take like a concerted effort. It's not just
yeah,
saying that you're grateful. It's like actually thinking about
and
all the
embody.
things that happen. Yeah.
And the
And like so
word we're trying to go for is actually embodying it, not just
embodying it.
thinking
Yes.
it. It's embodying it. It's like you do think it, and you actually your physical actions have to represent it as well too. In your work. My contribution is so yeah, I think that's where the big maybe gap is. Everybody thinks gratitude's great. It's a Eastern practice to be mindful and be grateful for what you have, right? You should be grateful for that, and then also too you should embody it too. So when you say you are grateful, like for me, the other people I want to thank is like my family. Like I have my dad, right? And then I have my middle brother Sodeth and my older brother Mitch. They're extremely supportive of me, and they're not one of those. Well, our family's not like I love you, I'm grateful for you, or anything. We're not really expressive like that, and that's where I'm kind of saying, hey, look, I even put it on my podcast. We never say I love you or I'm proud of you to each other, but we should say it more often. And the gratitude for me for like embodying it is actually thanking them and saying, hey, I appreciate you, and doing stuff that I know I have opportunities that they haven't had opportunities for, and showing that, look, even though I have, or I'm gonna say like, I want to show you that I'm gonna make you proud. You know, I think that's gratitude. I think like if you have a wife, yeah, that's my feeling.
Yeah,
It's
and
like
I
I
was
want you guys proud.
and I was gonna say too, like that kind of goes hand in hand with what I was thinking as well. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I almost feel like when I'm truly grateful, when I embody gratefulness about a given topic or subject, like for instance, even my gratefulness for you and us and FIFO and what we're doing here, I'm inherently proud. Like I am
Yeah,
proud. I feel pride.
pride. Yeah, I think that's a good word.
So I feel like it's there's I want to make you proud. I 100% do because like I want to make sure I keep showing up for it. You're going to show up, I'm going to show up. Period. It is what it
Yeah,
is, right? Even though I've been late that one time. Um I'm still going to show up.
yeah. I wrote it in my notebooks. I'm just kidding.
but but like I feel like that's something that like yeah, you want to make and obviously I love it, man. So expressing thanks
Yeah,
is one thing. And I think there's empty things. I think we've done empty things before. For
yeah,
instance, you order a Starbucks thanks. That's a pretty empty thanks. Like it's polite. It's like a
yeah,
social norm. But are you truly grateful for that person, right? Like do you feel it? Do you feel pride in who they are, right? That's a different story. And like I think that that's something that you got to realize like that's kind of maybe the differentiator of the actual vibration of it because quite frankly, I tell everybody about what we've done in this podcast, right? And I feel true pride
yeah,
in our connection and I share our story because I think it's so it's so synonymous to a message that I'm trying to push out there to people, especially in the world of digital marketing where so many people struggle with getting started in digital marketing. So many people struggle with getting content
yeah,
and producing content because they're scared to put themselves out there, right? And the trick is you just have to start and then you'll start to figure it the fuck out as you go, right?
yeah.
And I have a lot of pride in the way that we connected, and I'm very grateful for the way that we connected because we did just that. We embodied that kind of mission,
Good.
just starting and then
It's
figuring it
authentic.
out, right? So
Yeah, the word is good. It's authentic. We embodied it. I appreciate anybody sending me like kind messages or support. And the thing, like when you're in entrepreneurship and where you're asking people to do something, right? Sign up for a membership at this price or sign up for an e-course. Of course, you're gonna get rejections. Nobody's gonna be 100%. Yeah, I'm on board. You know, but the response after it is not like fuck off or anything. It's like I see what you're doing. You're gonna do great, and I appreciate you. When in time, those are the responses that I'm getting, and to me, those are fine. Like I love it. I say I appreciate your support. I'm planning to put out more content so we could support the community whenever you are ready. You know where to find me. Of course, they can find me on the internet. I'm everywhere now. uh, so I mean,
so
that's the
let,
point. That's the point of
let
marketing and advertising, and just letting everybody know an impression. Hey, I'm here. I asked, and I can be proud of it. Some people say yes, some people say no, and the thing is, like taking no's, you can be grateful for the no's. I'm grateful for the no's.
100%,
You know,
100%,
that makes me like, okay, that makes me want to be like, all right, I'm gonna put out some content that I think they might actually need, because sometimes it comes out like a big response was, I don't have enough money right now, and it's like, okay, well, perfect. I'm gonna create some content around being an entrepreneur, how to change your mindset, and to help with that. It's not that um, I'm taking that as feedback and applying it
100%.
to my content and stuff, which is I'm listening. I think the big thing is like as coaches and people that are getting coached, like listening is a big skill. And sometimes I just go on to communities and listen and read what other people are saying, and then trying to figure out what they're struggling with, and then
So
just
let
try to
so
provide as
let's
much content.
let's do this. Let's and I love that, man. Like I think that's so synonymous and I think there's a good point to get there. So I want to ask you think back Okay, so I think that there's a difference between that embodiment and feeling
Hmm.
grateful and practicing gratefulness, right? Like I think there's a little bit of a difference. So, and I know by asking you, I'm ultimately like gonna have to respond and answer myself. So this is a challenge. I know it's a challenge for me too. So when thinking back through your life, when do you think you had that first time that you can remember that you truly felt gratefulness? And then when did you really start practicing gratefulness as part of your like, because self-development? So
Yeah.
all the way back to your history, right? Like when did you first feel it? Like when do you think you really first felt that emotion?
To be honest, I don't think I really started feeling emotions until like that I could describe. I'm sure I had emotions, I just couldn't describe them. I think right now we're talking we're at a point where like we can't express our emotions. When you learn how to express your emotions, you actually become like when people see me like I'm actually expressing myself, self actualized. But like here's an example. So my mom passed away when I was 20 or 21, 2021, and I cried, but I didn't know how to express that emotion. I didn't know how to describe it. With my dad, I didn't have a journaling, I didn't have a gratitude practice or anything, right? As I got older and started doing more personal development work, that's when I started understanding, okay, how do I describe this feeling and kind of express it at like I've always heard about gratitude, but started to like actually like write it down and started really to embody it was like around the age of 30. That's when I made that's when I feel like I broke out of the matrix where I was like, oh, okay. And then who I was grateful for was whoever got helped me get to that point. A lot of it was my family, my spouse, uh, my close friends from college, my sphere of influence. That was what I channeled my gratitude towards, and I would period. I didn't talk to them every day, but I would periodically maybe like at least every quarter or like once a year just to check up on them, just have a conversation kind of like this, typically just to catch up and then just say, hey, look, I'm grateful for you, and then just continue on with my journey. And gratitude is a strong emotion, and I think just embodying it and just trying to make people, your friends, proud. When people say that they're proud of me, that makes me feel like really like really grateful because that's the feedback that I've been getting is people saying that they are proud of me for being authentic and putting myself out there and putting out relevant content. So I was like, oh, I should feel proud of myself, and I do feel proud of myself.
Well, it's interesting, man. Like, and I think that's a good, like, I think you hit something like the nail on the head on some of this, right? Which is like, when do you actually like, there's an emotional maturity that you go through throughout life. And I think that it is like not a lot of us, even myself, like if I think back, like if I really think back to like that same emotion, that feeling that I had of gratefulness at the time, I don't know that I could truly describe it or pinpoint it down as gratefulness,
Yeah,
right? It was like excitement, it was pride, it was I was definitely thankful, but like I couldn't wrap it up into like a clear picture for myself, right? And I think like, I remember honestly like probably some of my first really true feelings of gratefulness was moments where I would be on top of a mountain somewhere in the US and it was like perfect snow. It was super deep. And I would it was either while I was working and coaching and I had athletes, or it was on my own. And I remember just like stopping
yeah,
in like these picturesque scenes and like just looking around at like just the snow covered trees and like the stuff that you see in videos, right? And just looking around at this scene that I was in and just like, wow, like this is my life. Like,
yeah,
wow. And like, I wouldn't have told you, like, if you were like, Danny, like, if you had pulled up right next to me right then and there, you're like, what are you doing, man? I'm like, I'm just taking it in, right? Like, that's how I would have described it. I'm just taking it in. Like, this is beautiful.
Yeah.
right? And like, but I at the time when I now that I like practice gratitude, when I look back, it's like then that was probably like in my early 20s. I was actually experiencing gratitude, like truly experiencing gratitude for the probably the maybe the one of the first times in my life, like to that emotional level, to that I so the emotion was mature enough
Yeah.
that I can look back at it now and put it as that label of gratitude.
Yeah.
Whereas if I think back to like other moments where I've been like in that state of like enjoyment and pride and everything else, I don't think that I have like I couldn't necessarily describe it as gratitude, but definitely early 20s, mid 20s, throughout my 20s there was many moments where I would just like either be in like a blizzard type condition on my board, just like
Yeah.
whoa, this is beautiful. Like I can think of a lot of moments even when I wasn't on my board. I'll never forget I was in Killington, Vermont, and I just walked out of our hotel. I was like up there doing some trainings. I walked out of our hotel and there were these huge flakes that were dropping everywhere. And I remember just like stopping in my path and just staring into the
Yeah.
sky, just watching the snowfall and just feeling that like again,
It's
now
heav-
knowing what that feeling was. It was
it
gratitude.
sounded heavenly.
Yeah.
You know, I
Um
think I
and
think
then I think
that
the oh go ahead.
I was just saying that I think it's just that feeling when it's a great feeling, and practicing it. No, I was just continue on. I was like, it just sounded heavenly the way you described it. And I was like, you were
It
just,
was, man. It definitely felt like a different spiritual level that I
yeah.
was on. Right.
Look at you all spiritual,
And
Annie.
look
You're
at
all
me,
woo.
dude.
Look all
I'm
woo.
all woo woo, bro. But like then I think like the first time that like I probably could have labeled it in the moment of gratitude, and ironically, it was my father's funeral. So my father passed 5 6 years ago, and nobody really prepares you for how like what you're gonna feel when you lose a parent, right? And I didn't know what to expect. It was so my dad had a funeral, and then 6 months later, he actually had his burial service in Arlington. He was a colonel in the Air Force, so to get into like the burial service, there was like a wait list. So
Yeah.
we did the funeral, a week or two after he passed, and about 100 people ish showed up. And I'm standing at the front, and I share the same name as my father,
Yeah.
Daniel Jude Merowinski. And I remember, like, I didn't cry
Yeah.
at my dad's funeral. I cried like a baby at his burial, but I didn't cry during the funeral. And I remember sitting there looking out onto the crowd and thinking like maybe something was wrong with me,
Yeah.
right? Like I was like, why am I not crying? I should be crying. Like this, like what's going on? And I remember being very confused for a moment in time while I stood there next to my sisters looking at the crowd while, the priest is going through the last words and the last blessings and things. And then I realized I had this overwhelming sense of pride of my father, and I was looking at generals and business executives and business owners and all sorts of amazing people, and I thought to myself like, wow, this room, like doctors and lawyers and all all these amazing people that have done so much with their lives, and they're there to pay their respects to my father. And I just remember being like, wow, like I felt grateful. I felt
Yeah.
really grateful for my dad. I felt grateful for my dad. I felt grateful for his influence. I felt grateful for the people. And that was probably the first moment in my life that I could like truly label it in the moment of what I was going through, which was just this overwhelming grateful feeling for my father and for the people that he inspired and influenced. Um, so that was like probably the first time that I could maybe label it. So that's my kind of history and background on it. But I want to hear now. So okay, so you said about 8 years ago is when you first started, like your emotional maturity hit the level to where you could finally like understand
Yeah.
what gratefulness was. So what was that part of your journey like? So like rewind to 30.
Um. Can you hear my voice? I had some
Yep.
difficulties. I had to plug it into the charger. Um. Okay, cool. So around 30, that's when I started really actually practicing it, journaling it, and that's when I started meditating, and my actions matched up to what I was thinking and writing. All the stuff that I was doing, like posting on social media and just writing about or just telling everybody. That's when I started bodybuilding. That's why I really started reading a lot of books. I told you guys in like previous episode that 30 was where I made a pretty big breakthrough in my consciousness, and that's when I started reading a ton of book. And the feeling of like doing something towards that vision and goal that I wanted was just like a sense of pride, gratitude. And even though like I didn't think a lot of my friends, I knew a lot of my friends weren't into that stuff. So I was always like, all right, I'm an extremely competitive person. Like, if you guys don't know that, I'm just not like overly overt about it, but I'm extremely competitive. So when I find like something that I could get an edge on, and it was reading, and that validated like what I call is reaffirmed my feeling of gratitude. It's like I get to do what people don't get to do. I get to do personal development. I get to do social media, and the biggest feeling of gratitude I think I could relate to your story is I started bodybuilding like professionally. Like around 30, I was like, I'm gonna do it. I always had a dream to compete in bodybuilding, and I never stepped on stage before. So that act of every day of being able to go to the gym and eat the food that I could eat, because I used to bodybuild in college, and I was a broke college student, and every day I would have these meals, and they were the same meals over and over and over, and be like, hey, at least you're not eating tuna uh, and egg whites like you were in college. So that feeling of gratitude just helped me pull me along. And like now, I'm still eating very similar types of food, but they're higher quality food. Like instead of eating like canned salmon, I could have real salmon. I could have sushi. You know, it's like those little things of gratitude you could practice like daily, and that's how I practice daily. It's like I gotta go to the fucking gym and chase my dreams, you know, like my childhood dreams. I gotta, I gotta be an entrepreneur. That's one of my dreams, you know. And I have the ability to do it, and thinking about it and doing it daily. That's to me like the embodiment of gratitude. And then you can say like now I'm in the elevated emotions, so that gratitude to me, I think, is just multiplied or just more of it. Like I think emotions. I think I was a coaching call when my friend she was asking about how to like channel emotions and stuff, and I don't know how to describe it. I just coached it and talked about it and everything. That's why it's like I have to use a lot of metaphors, but taking like the mind muscle connection in bodybuilding is like, say if you wanted to build your chest, you have to really think about that chest, right? You will look for inspiration, you will look for exercises to build that chest. You will do everything to focus to build that chest. So like in any area of your life that you really want, say you want to like for me is like I want to manifest a soulmate or something, right? Instead of like that that means I have to be the embodiment of what I want, so I can naturally attract that. I cannot find that if I'm not that person or that person embodying it. So that's where like I'm channeling a lot of like a love and emotions. And when we go through like dark times, like depression and stuff, like I went through depression and it was a really dark time. That's when I felt the emotions and I sat with the emotions. That's the difference between what I did and a lot of people. I sat with the emotions, and most when you sit with the emotions and you feel those emotions, like if you could feel the lowest lows, you could feel the highest highs. So when I was going through a lot of emotional pain, I was like, this is teaching me something. I don't want to leave. I'm gonna sit right here. And I stayed and I stayed and I stayed, and then now you can see that I'm in this elevated emotions because I knew what the lowest low felt like. And people hide from the lowest lows, When you stay in the lowest lows, it teaches you a lot of like lessons and gives you a lot of insight. And then you could see the difference because if you use like philosophy and everything, it's like yin yang. There's always an opposite in the universal language. Like if you feel this darkness, you could feel this heavenly feeling here. But
Right.
it takes practice. It takes work to get up to those elevated emotions and stuff. But that's my TED talk.
I love it, man. And look, dude, so I've started like actively practicing it, right? And this was something relatively new for me, and I actually got it here that I'll share. So this is my
Yeah.
this was I wrote this on August the 24th, 2023. So August the 24th last year, and this came originally from one of my clients actually. And at this point, I was 2 months sober, and I was starting to make some headway in my business, right? And I flew out to Wisconsin to meet my client. He was one of my first customers, probably my longest customer actually to this day. He still works with me. Great guy. He's super wealthy, investor, but he has a heart of gold and extremely generous. And he has a newsletter that I'm helping grow. It's all about crypto and investment strategies for crypto, and he also has investment strategies in precious metals and mining. And then he raises capital for businesses. Right? Awesome individual, very smart, very intelligent, and he gave me the book uh, here. I think I sent this to you, Samnang, a while back. It's by Eckhart Tolle. It's called The Power of Now.
Yeah, everybody's reading that now. That's like the the trendy book. I read it.
It's pretty good. So he
He
gave
talks
me
a
this
lot about
book.
the ego in
Yeah.
that one. Yeah, the ego's hard.
So he gave me this book, and he was like, "Danny, you need to start practicing your 10-10-10."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, what's 10-10-10?" He's like, "Every morning, say take some time and write down 10 things you're grateful for, 10 affirmations, and 10 manifestations, and then read them off to yourself in the mirror, and look yourself in the eye in the mirror,
Hmm.
and like pause on each one of those, and actually, like, I love the word body it, because that's what it was. It was embodying the emotion,
Yeah, and
right?
buy it.
So I'm gonna read off my 10 things that I was grateful for,
Yeah.
which was I'm grateful for my family, my wife, my friends, myself, my clients, my employees, my network, my challenges, my community, my faith. Right. And I spent a lot of time thinking about each one of those. I think family is a pretty easy one for a lot of people to understand and wrap their heads around. Right. I think a lot of us are
Hmm.
grateful for our family. And the ones that I started like struggling a little bit with, right, were being grateful for myself. Um, that's an interesting piece that I had to like kind of dissect for myself. Like, why am I grateful for myself? Obviously, I'm grateful that I'm here and I'm alive, but being grateful for yourself is very synonymous to what you were saying, which is like grateful for lows, grateful for highs, like all parts of yourself. It can't just be
Yeah.
the elevated, happy Danny. Like, I have to be grateful for all the things that I am, right? Um, which also brought me into like grateful for my challenges.
Hmm.
And at the time too, I watched. You ever see Jocko Willenick's Good?
Yeah. It's so funny.
That, that that
Good.
video is awesome, right? It was like, didn't get that
Broken leg.
promotion.
Good.
Good.
Broken leg. Good.
Yeah, right. Like
Good.
everything good. Now you got the time to heal. But yeah. So those were my kind of like grateful things. And again, I read those off. Now I need to update this because it's been a little over 6 months. But that really got me through one of the biggest growth periods of my life. To like, if I go through my manifestations and I look at where I'm at, like, I did a lot of my manifestations. A lot of those have been accomplished.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can read them if you want, but like, it was it was always started. It always started with your gratefulness, right? You start with your gratefulness, at least the way that he described it, right? You start with your 10 things that you're grateful for. Then you go into your affirmations, which your affirmations, like mine, I'm smart enough. I'm a top performing salesman. I'm extremely ambitious. I'm determined. I'm courageous. I'm honest. I'm a man of integrity. I'm disciplined. I'm physically fit. I'm passionate.
Yeah.
Those are my
That's
affirmations.
the 10 tens. Is that something that changes every day, or do you write the 10 tens and then you just like cement it in your head?
It's no, it's something that you write,
Uh-huh.
and then like you said for him, like now that it's been about 6 months, I'm gonna update it. But like you'll know when you need to update it, right? Like
Okay. Yeah.
it's not a matter of like there you can't really timestamp it to say like it could be daily.
Yeah.
You could
I feel like
daily.
I feel like I have something where like I have my like top five things that I'm grateful for, and I constantly just think about it and meditate. Sometimes like my journaling practice right now just is not as good as like my meditation practice, so I just go heavy on my meditation practice. And some days it's perfect. Like I think like having a practice of just stopping a part of your day and just writing something or even thinking about it. I think for me, anybody that's out there watching and that just needs to get like some, because sitting and thinking about it and feeling it is the important part of it, and we skip it. And sometimes when we skip it, we don't feel it, and then it makes us harder. Like our journey of like personal development, self actualization just becomes harder, and that's where a lot of people kind of struggle. Is like they think it's a great idea, but it's a great idea, and that's all it is until there's a practice. The feeling gets stronger as you continue to practice it. So, you know, I'm pro gratitude. I know you are,
100%,
and
man.
yeah,
And I think forward thinking thoughts, at least for me, like on continuing practicing gratefulness and things of that nature, right? Is like one of the things that when I look into the future for myself that I've learned, it took me a long time to get to this point because I used to. I think a lot of people fall into this place where I was, which was like I looked forward to my dream outcome.
hmm
That's what I looked forward to. That's what I was grateful for in my future. I now that I've been through the game enough, I now understand that I'm not just grateful for the future triumphs, but I'm also looking forward to the future challenges. I
yeah,
welcome, and when they do come, I'm grateful for them,
yeah,
whether they be financial hardship, whether they be, whatever the case is. It could be, like a dissatisfied customer. It could be an issue with one of my employees. It could be family issue. It could be my sons when one of my sons turns 16 and I got to deal with what it's like to have a 16-year-old boy, right?
hmm
But the different challenges that I'm also going to face in life, I have a very very clear vision that I'm looking forward to those because I've
right,
learned through over and over and time and time again that I become better with each challenge.
yeah,
And I'm looking forward to that growth. And
yeah,
growth is not sunshine and roses. I'm sure, as you're aware, growth comes from the pits of hell. Like it comes from the trials and tribulations. It comes from the challenges,
yeah,
and that's probably one of my gratefulness pieces in my 10, 10, and 10. It's
yeah,
my number 8, which is my challenges, my current challenges, but also my future challenges. So as I look forward into becoming more grateful, and I am going to probably rewrite these. It's probably about time, primarily because of the manifestations that
yeah,
I've put out there and that have happened, which is like, here, I'll read them off real quick. Holy shit, I just read my numbers and I have a 7-figure business. Ironically, based off of valuation of my business, I'm probably pretty close to a 7-figure business, not in revenue, but in valuation now, which is like kind of crazy to think about from when I started and when I first wrote this, because at the time when I wrote this, it was nowhere near a 7-figure business. Um, Honey, look at this. We just realized 6 figures in profits in our personal account. Haven't seen that yet, but I think that that's definitely doable within a year or two. Um, we just had a $70,000 month. It's another one of my manifestations. And the way that I wrote my manifestations was a sentence that I would tell myself that in the future, right? And even though we haven't done $70,000 in sales, we have done over 50 in sales since I wrote this, which again, mind blowing to me because at the time, it's hard to imagine that, right? Um, Exit Build is doing great. We just hired our 10th full time employee. I'm at 9
Well,
employees right now.
mm-hmm.
So again, that's my manifestation. Hey babe, remember when full-time travel felt like a dream? Isn't it amazing we've been doing it for a full year now? We're embarking on our first like full-time travel. We're moving to Italy for 3 months this year. That's booked.
Sweet.
Uh, I never really understood passive income until now. This asset pays us $15,000 a month, and I don't have to lift a finger. Not there yet. One of my manifestations, though, and I can clearly see a path now from when I first wrote this, which was like a desire, to now it's like, oh, it's very tangible. Uh, this is the first time in my adult life where I am truly debt free. I will never finance anything ever again. Almost there. Still have some debt, still have a house. I haven't paid off the house, but I'm almost there. We just launched our first SaaS product, and we already have 10,000 beta users within the first month. We're actually breaking ground on our first tech this year for a SaaS product, software as a service. Wow, we just had our first exit of a company, meaning I sold a company. Haven't sold a company yet. I never thought I could get a celebrity type body like this. I guess this is what 1 year of sobriety and training every day can do.
Yeah,
Not
you gonna
there
be
yet.
Matthew McConaughey, right? Is that
Hey,
your
dude,
goal?
I want that Matthew McConaughey
That's
shirt
why
off,
I showed
buddy.
up. I was like, he wants to be like Brad Pitt in Fight Club. How about that? We'll
That's
get you
it, bro. So,
Brad Pitt in Fight Club.
but those are the manifestations, right? So I don't know. I bring that up. I
Those
just
are
thought it was an
powerful,
interesting
man.
fact.
I think what you
Yeah.
just said there was powerful, and what you accomplish is powerful, and you have to celebrate those wins. And being able to put that out on this podcast and share it with me is like it's great, man. Because people have wins, and people sometimes are scared and to share the wins, and that's why when people struggle with the ego, I was struggling with that too. I was getting a lot of wins when I started manifesting and started like really focusing on things and being able to share it. That's awesome. Like that's a lot of fucking wins that you had there. So I think the gratitude of being grateful for the things that you have or you're going to have. I think we talked about that in the last podcast. That's a very powerful emotion as well too, because when you take that, I think as Dr. Joe Dispenza says, that's how you actually like manifest it. Because if you could get that same emotion, your body doesn't know what that feeling is. They're actually just feeling that emotion, and you're applying that visual of when you're meditating and you get that feeling together, you're already creating that connection in the body. So that is actually how you like physically manifest things. Like when you do the practice, like the journaling, the meditation, and just bringing up awareness. It doesn't have to be exactly those same things, but the more you practice actually like gratitude, and we talked about it, that the feeling of feeling for things that are future, that are coming to you, and bring it here to this present moment is a very powerful like manifestation tools. I my big goals, and I don't know how to get there. That's why like I put it out in the universe. It's like, okay, I want to be a multimillionaire. I am already an entrepreneur. I'm already a life coach. I'm already the physical fitness. I want to be a pro bodybuilder. Um, I want to be a motivational speaker on stage. Those things are all coming. I want to be an influential thinker. I want to be influenced. Those are all coming. Those are all coming. They're not here right now, but it's just a feeling that even on being on this podcast, we're just generating it. We're just putting it out on the universe, and we talk about again conviction. To me, I really truly believe it, and when you truly believe and you put it out there in the universe, it tends to happen. The big thing is we don't know when it's going to happen. It's going to happen. We just don't know when. That's why it's like compelling for me to share our story and everything, between what we're working on with our business and entrepreneur, and getting the same just energy and vibe of knowledge and just sharing. So I'm super
Well,
happy.
and it's interesting, like, and on that thread, I'm sure you've probably heard of the red car theory, right?
The what?
Have you ever heard of the red car theory?
Yeah, is that when you? You could explain it, but I think I know what it is.
So basically, if you're like driving today, like when you go out and you go drive somewhere, right? How many red cars? Like afterwards, if someone asks you, like, how many red cars did you see? You'd probably be like, oh, I don't know, I saw a couple, like whatever. But then if I told you before you went off and drove, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna give you $50 for every red car that you see. Go count them.
Yeah,
By the time you get back, you would be like, oh, I saw 327, whatever. You'd know the
you
exact
became more
number of red
aware of it.
cars.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it's the same idea in these manifestations, like public speaking, you said, is like one of your things that you want to do, right? Because you have that as your manifestation and because you have that in your ether of your guiding light of where you want to go, you're going to start finding opportunities where it
yeah,
may not be the, maybe your vision of it is the Tony Robbins level of public speaking where you have an auditorium packed with 20,000 people. But that may not be the first thing that you do, which probably not going to be the first thing that you do.
no,
But you
it's
might find that there's a niche group. Like for instance, I also want to public speak, and I actually got presented with an opportunity just before COVID hit, and then COVID hit and it shut it down. But now I'm back on that mission as well, and it was to speak to a Coldwell Banker Realtor group. There was going to be about 120 people and that were going to be in attendance in person, and I was going to speak on digital marketing for realtors. So what's interesting is like you may not realize like what that audience is going to be. It could be something as simple like the first ever true public speaking that I did. It's up on the internet somewhere. I posted it. Was for the Palm Harbor Chamber of Commerce. It was right when ChatGPT came out. I came
hmm
to the chamber and I did a talk on how to leverage generative AI for your business, and there was about 60 people in attendance. And I filmed it. It was like, dude, I was like super fat because I was still drinking. I was like,
Were you sweating?
I had this shirt on. It was bad, but nonetheless, like that was my first engagement of that. It was free, right? Like I didn't get paid, but I came out and delivered the value. So when you have those things in your future state, when you believe that you're going to get there, all of a sudden you're going to see opportunities where you
Yeah,
engage with somebody that's maybe it's for a small business and they're like, hey, Samnang, can you come in and just talk about personal development for this
yeah,
small business, and your original audience is going to be 10, 15 people and you do it for free, right? Like,
yeah,
but then it's like, then now with what it's like, well, I'm going to capture that and I'm going to record that. And then that way I have a history of it and I can show it and be like, look, I did it here. And then the next time
yeah,
you have a conversation, you could be like, it might be a slightly bigger audience, but you've done it before. And then so on and so forth. And then it builds until upwards that now you're booking, stadiums full of 20,000 people, right? So, like, it's interesting that, like, and I think a lot of people don't quite fully get that. Like, these manifestations, they're not, I always talk about this in my own channel, and I think you'd appreciate this, right? It's not a dream, right? And I think that people confuse dream versus a future reality. And if you look
hmm
at things as a dream, like this is my dream is to do this, and that's all you look at it as, it will forever be your dream, and you will never fully get there because you're just dreaming about it. It's like a dream is almost like a false state of reality. Like sometimes a dream can be the inspiration
yeah,
to get you to the next plane that you want to play on, but it's actually realizing that it's no longer a dream, but it's a future reality for yourself.
hmm
When you realize that it's a future reality for yourself, as you go through your journey of life, it's just like the red car. You'll start seeing more
yeah,
opportunities and more areas in which that you can do and apply towards that goal, towards that future reality that's going to get you closer and closer to it until all of a sudden you're going to walk out on stage one day and be like looking at a huge crowd of people being like, whoa,
yeah.
I'm here.
I mean, that
And
feeling happens. What you're describing, and anybody that's listening, like Danny just perfectly described what the word synchronicity is. I think people get hear that word a lot. There's a lot of like buzzwords and stuff, but synchronicity is one. And I think I would explain it as like it looks like outside. It looks like luck from the outside, but we're explaining that when you are prepared, you actually do the stuff that supports that to get the goal that you want. It's not luck. It's basically just prepping for it and visualizing and embodying it, and then when it happens, and then you could be like, all right, what's the next thing? Because it's supposed to happen. That's what
Right.
synchronicity is. But yeah, I think we're heading to our end of show mark, but I think that was a fucking great episode, dude. Like just expressing gratitude and showing how to express gratitude live. Like that's the first time I told Danny I was grateful for him.
Yeah, man, and likewise, I'm 100% grateful for you and grateful for what we're doing here. I think it's I mean, I get excited to do it. Like I get
Yeah, me
excited
too.
every morning. I get excited to share it, and definitely grateful for you. And I'm grateful for those that have been following our journey so far. One name that stands out the most to me is Eamon Garvey. I know he wants to be on the show,
Yeah, that's
but
a boy.
he's
Hey, and
he's
we
been
also got a hater. We also got one hater too. She said we
do
said some
we?
nasty words. Yeah, it was shared from one of my Cambodian networks, and because we had I think had fuck in it, and she was like, "You had some nasty words," and I don't understand. I was like, "Yeah, that's true."
Dude,
So
that's
we
that
gotta
we
be
made
grateful
it.
for
We
our
got a
hater.
hater, bro.
We got
Look,
a hater.
that's it. In digital marketing, as soon as you start getting your haters, you know you're doing something right.
We're doing it.
We're
But
fucking
Eamon,
doing
everybody's
it.
supporting. Everybody from Lake Braddock is supportive of it. We have a few Lake Braddock graduates at the community already too. So you
Nice.
guys are a part of the community and want to be a part of the elevating the collective vibrations and everything. Right now, the goal is to get 200 members. It doesn't matter what the price is or whatever. It's just to get the community to 200 members. So I'm around. You can find me on Facebook, social media, or Instagram and everything. And I think we're gonna have to wrap up the show. We don't want to go too long and bore you
Let's
guys.
just do it real quick. Let's wrap up with where we're at with our goals. So, hold on,
Yeah,
you ready
you
for
want
this?
to go?
Let's see if it does it. Hold on. You like that? Did you hear
Yeah. What is that? Is that our outro?
it? No, there's sound bites inside of here that you can do too. That I just figured out the
Okay,
other day. I was
you're
like,
gonna be our
oh,
DJ.
I'm a DJ. All
Um,
right, so couple goals, right? Mine has been consistently 45 minutes of working out,
yeah,
and over the weekend specific, it was 2 days working out outside.
yeah,
Yours was three pieces of content with the virality framework, right? So
yeah.
hook, value, payoff.
Hmm.
So I can go first, and this is again one of those things that well, I'll just say it. I failed. I didn't do it.
At least you're honest.
I'm honest, man. And look,
Honesty
and
is
this
better. Like really.
but I think that this is important, right? Like I do actually like dread coming to this because like even my wife is now bought in, right? She's like, Danny, didn't Sam say we're supposed to work out today? I'm like, yeah, I know. And I'm like, well, we're going to Monster Jam, and then we got this, and then we got that. And I got all these stupid excuses to myself that I'm like, yeah. Um, but she's like, well, you're gonna have to fess up. I'm like, I know, I know. So now
Yeah.
you even got into my wife's here. So I think like again, like it's going to start to happen. Um, and I am gonna work out today, um, but yeah, so I didn't do my piece, but I will continue to focus on it this week and start to get
Okay.
more consistent. So
At
I'm
least
gonna
I
target.
mean, being honest is very important in coaching and stuff, and you are definitely honest about it and stuff. Sometimes when we update and stuff, we want to present it as best as we can, but that really doesn't do anything. But being
No,
honest, and because that guilt, you're the only one that carries the guilt. The
yeah,
guilt enough is gonna be like, ah, fuck, at least I'm gonna do something, towards it, right? And that's just being mindful and stuff. So, and then you eventually, and then now you got your family involved, which is good. Health and fitness, having family involved is very important because it is a lifestyle. If one person is on a healthy lifestyle and the other person is not about it, it makes it very difficult to just kind of set back into same routines and patterns of eating the same type of food. So the buy-in
yeah,
with the family is extremely important, and of course, it's a benefit. Like I was talking to my brother, like your kids will see you growing up exercising. That is actually like a natural part of your lifestyle. So that's it's a win. It might feel
It's
like a
getting
loss,
there.
but it's,
I will say too, I'm going to the chiropractor now, so I signed up for a 6 month program with a chiropractor to help fix my posture because I need
yeah,
to get these shoulders back. And he's into fitness as well, so he was telling me big chest. So I have been walking around
yeah,
like this and trying to pinch my shoulder blades, and I feel like that's all aiding towards like I feel
dude.
like I
Imagine
definitely
if you
feel
had
like
a big chest instead of a bird chest.
I know, right? It's coming, dude. I can't do like I can shift my shoulders around to do the Terry Crews peck pop, but I'll
Big
get there.
chest Danny. That's what we gotta call you.
Because
Big chest Danny. Big chest Danny. All right. So I did. I was like, all right, I'm gonna do 5 pieces of reels on TikTok. I opened up a TikTok and I watched a couple of other influencers on TikTok to kind of get an idea of what the hook value payoff was, and I did 5, and they were short, lifestyle tips, lifestyle tips, just quick tips, like what to eat for breakfast, how to avoid snacking, how to change your mindset on this. So um, the hook value payoff was good. I was consistent. Well, I actually just posted. A quick tip for productivity for anybody that's watching is I do things in blocks. I just do them all. Like if I'm gonna shoot or edit and stuff, it's like an hour or two block until, and I do as much as I can as possible. Like if I need to edit reels or anything, I just do it all at the same time, so I'm not bouncing. So I did literally after we got off the phone or off the Zoom call, I shot like 5 of them. It took like an hour and a half, no, probably like 2 hours, and then I put them together and I just posted it. Uh, I didn't know how to like categorize it or do anything like that, so that's something I'll probably have to continue like researching and learning from other
what did you
influencers.
think? What did you think of the framework?
Framework was good. It was short. It was good. I think I need work on it as well too, but I this you can get a lot of followers there. I got a lot of views, a lot more than Instagram. But I think I did pretty good. I don't know.
That's hey man. So look, and this is so moving into this week. Here's what I'm picking back off of the goal that you initially set for me. So this is my goal this week off of that. So come Friday, I'm gonna have three 45-minute workouts completed.
Yeah,
So that's my goal. So I'm breaking it down a little bit smaller to more like tangible, so I can achieve it this week, and then next week I want to
yeah.
bump it up to the 5.
Strategy is good. This
So
is like part of coaching is we kind of talk through it and help strategize. And if you think of a strategy for yourself, that's even better because you know your lifestyle more. Uh, I'm just here to just like support and stuff.
so yeah, so I'm going with three this week, three 45-minute workout pieces. So
Okay.
what about you? What are you gonna take with this framework? What are you gonna do this week?
For the framework
So
for
sticking on the
the
same thread, so the virality framework that I gave you as far as hook value payoff,
uh
where can you apply that? How are you gonna take that to the kind of the next phase? Like what's your goal?
I guess what my goal is to go on TikTok and do a little bit more research on how to go more viral, I guess, maybe to get more views. So right now the views are at like 500. Maybe I guess the goal would to be do more pieces of content and just get it to average of maybe like 2,000 or something like that. Maybe just more than what 500 is. I don't know. What do you think?
Cool. 500 for being brand new on the platform isn't bad, man. Think about that. That's 500. 500. That's 1,000 eyeballs.
Yeah.
For basic buys. So if you think about that, like that's actually a decent. Like if I put 500 people in your apartment right now, you'd be shoulder to shoulder packed, right?
Yeah.
So you think about that's actually not bad. And I would say don't get too caught up in the metrics
Uh-huh.
at this stage.
Okay.
The metrics and the analytics are all great tools, and they're great once you start growing. I think for now, the trick isn't to over like it's you're into a position where you can easily get analysis paralysis, right? Where you
Hmm.
over analyze too much and it slows your production down. For now, you need to produce more. So if you think about it
More.
with that framework of hook value payoff, You've done 5 reels. You said it took you about an hour and a half
Mm-hmm.
between production and editing, right? But the actual practice of hook value payoff maybe took 10, 15 minutes per video of you actively thinking about what you're going to say, how you're going to say it, what the structure is, and then actual turning the camera on and doing it, right? So let's call it 10, 15, let's call it 15 minutes for 5 reels, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what? Actually, it's about an hour and a half, right? So, um, yeah, it's an hour and a half, an hour and 15. So, anyways, you've practiced this now for a grand total of 1 hour and 15 minutes. So if you think about that in context of like say the 10,000 hour rule and your actual experience practicing that, you just
Yeah.
need to up the quantity and just keep practicing, keep putting it out there,
Reps.
and don't worry too much about where you're at from a stats perspective just yet. It's great that
Okay.
you have it and you can reflect back on it, but at this stage in the game, the analytics really come into play and become powerful once you have a larger audience, and you then that's when you can start to leverage the actual analytics to help grow the channel.
Oh,
At
okay.
this stage, you just need to keep practicing this framework, and you need to get the reps in. It's just like working out, right? It's like me. It's like me doing a 45-minute workout routine, and then like immediately measuring my chest, right?
Yeah, I
Like
gotcha.
I'm gonna be like, well, I think I got a couple centimeters on it, like so.
You're right.
It's at what point does it matter? Like it's like, oh, let's do a litmus test, maybe one out of every 30 days. So if I go 30 days of doing it, maybe measure up front and then go 30 days of consistency and then
Okay.
see where you're at and then make your adjustments, right? So think of it the same way, man. But for now, you just need to get comfortable with that framework and just repetition, repetition, repetition.
Repetition, repetition. I think that's what I think I got a that framework is good. And then I think the idea of just doing like
Mhm.
quick tips like, hey, are you struggling with um, body fat or are you struggling with this, right? That's like the hook because I think that's where
Yeah,
like I learned them. And then I think I need to work on the payoff portion. But and what you said about the reps and everything, I think that's spot on. Like when I coach people as well too, is like people just focus on the weight or the scale, and there's other things that benefit as well too. So I think doing the reps, I'm okay with doing more reps. I'm all about reps. Uh, for me, it's like repetition is the mother of all skill. That's what I say. Um, but yeah, I think that's a good ending point to our
yeah,
show.
man.
Yeah.
So this is wrapping up FIFO. So flow in, flow out. New podcast every Monday at 6 a.m. and Fridays at 4 p.m. Um, Myself, Danny Marowinski, my boy Samnang,
Yep.
co-hosts, and yeah, every week we've been doing this, and again, haven't seen each other, talked to each other in over 20 years, and decided to just jump on and start doing it. So here we are, and I think we got a little framework now, right? So we're gonna have a topic, we're gonna go through our histories, our current state, our future state, and then
Yeah.
also our personal goals as we continue to coach each other, and we are growing in public. So this is out
Yeah.
there for everybody that
And if
can
you
see
guys
it.
have like topics or things that you guys enjoy, love us or hate us, feedback is welcome. Criticism's welcome as well too. Just as long as it's constructive.
It can be hate. No, man, I love it, dude. Go ahead, send over the nasty stuff. You don't like me, you don't like my colors, you don't like the logo, whatever. I don't care.
FIFO, fuck it. All right, man. I think we're gonna log off, but we got
Let's
some
do it.
admin stuff to talk about. I think, right?
Yep, I'll keep it going. So that's the end of the podcast, and then this will be our whatever behind the scenes. So if you want to continue to
Yeah,
listen, you
behind
can
the scenes.
behind the scenes because we'll keep that live. So that being said, I had a thought. We're coming
Yeah,
up. This is episode 8 now.
7 or 8, I think. I can't remember.
I can't remember either. We're scheduled out. We're scheduled out to the 19th currently, and that was episode 5. But then I know I need to pull down Friday's episode still because our last one was when you talked about digital marketing goals. So that was like when you were kind of interviewing me.
Hmm.
Um,
I have access to the YouTube channel,
cool.
so
I scheduled out on YouTube too,
yeah, I saw it.
and I
Um,
added in the different thumbnail or the
Is your
thumbnails and videos.
are you guys there's something I actually need help with. It's like SEO, and maybe I don't know we talk about it now, but like learning how to categorize the reels, YouTube videos, because SEO is like, and how to like get like our brand ranked on like Google or something like that. That's something I think, I don't know if you want to talk about now or we could talk about it.
We can. I mean, so with SEO, the way you gotta like the best way to describe it is like you gotta understand how Google makes their money. If you can understand their core business model, then it makes SEO that much more tangible for you, right? So the way Google makes their money is they obviously have a large audience and they make their money through ads. The bulk of their money they make is through ads. So if I Google search something, like if you type in like, personal trainer near me, you're gonna see sponsored ads, right?
Yeah.
And when you click that sponsored ad, you are charging whoever is sponsoring that ad is paying Google money. So to give you an idea, this I got to look at the most recent one, but like back in the day, this is like I don't know, a little dated, like maybe 7 8 years ago. The highest paid keyword in the world was Houston maritime lawyers, and they charge these lawyer offices $975 a click just to click the ad. So that means that that company, that lawyer firm that was paying Google to advertise for that sponsored position, every time that ad was clicked, they're paying Google 900, almost a grand, and made sense in their business model because you get one of those cases, and the average case is like a $25 million case.
That's
So which you pay,
right. That's what it's called,
and
pay
it's
per click.
pay per click.
Yeah.
So that's how Google makes their money, right? So the idea behind Google and what it's actively trying to do in the Google algorithm, the thing that it cares about, is it's trying to bring relevant information to the user, and then that way, in the hopes that it's going to trigger an ad. So think of it this way: if you type in ketchup into Google, right,
Hmm.
you're likely going to see shopping ads out of the gates. You're going to
Right.
see Amazon, Walmart, things like that, and they're going to be ads for ketchup to try to capture your purchase.
Hmm.
Then after that, then you might see like the top brands of like Heinz ketchup and things like that. But you're not going to see, if you just type in ketchup, you're not going to see the very first thing you see is the history of how ketchup was invented, right? Like you're not, it's because it's not relevant to the person typing it in. So the algorithm is constantly trying to understand what relevance is to the user. Because the more relevant information you put in, and the more relevant information it displays back, the more likely that user is going to come back to that search engine and provide the feedback. So if you think back to like when you decided to use, like when Google really overtook Yahoo, because at the time there was like Google and Yahoo. We're rewinding like 15 years, 20 years ago, right? You have Google and Yahoo, and you can go to either of those places and search for information. And I know most people, like myself, would try it on both platforms, and the information wasn't the best. You weren't always getting exactly what you were looking for, so you had to do a couple more searches to refine back. Same thing in like ChatGPT right now, right? Like so when you're using ChatGPT, you have to like continually prompt to train the thread to get you back valuable information. That's not typically done on the first prompt. So that what the algorithm has done is it's gotten to the point, it's gotten so sophisticated that now, based off of your geographic location relevant to your IP, the way that you've interacted through any cookie that you accept, right, which is almost on every single website, that's
Yeah.
basically taking that data and giving that usage data back over to Google. And
Okay.
so, the more you interact on the internet at this point, the more the algorithm is ingesting that data and
Hmm.
providing you back relevant information. So, if you understand how that business model works, right, and you understand Google is trying to trigger an ad based off of your search query, then if I'm on the other side of the house and I want to be the top organic position for that query, then I have to put out a lot of relevant content that hits the nail on the head of all of those things.
Right. Keep
So, let's
Relevant. Keyword is
what's that?
relevant. Relevant.
Relevant.
You how do you
Mm,
search like the titles that we search for to do our research to I know you got the hook value proposition and everything. I think you could do that hook on like thumbnails and stuff like that too. But how do we start doing like research on what is relevance?
check this out and blow your mind, bro. I'm gonna blow your mind.
This is why I'm grateful for you.
Oh, there it is. Just gotta get the right site. All right, check this out. All right, so this is a site. It's called Answer the Public. So let's do this. Personal development.
Oh, you type in
And
personal. Mm-hmm.
so I type it in over here, and we're gonna do it in the U.S. We're gonna do it in English. So watch what happens when I hit search. So it's going to give me the volume,
Mm-hmm.
how many people are searching for it per month. It's going to give me the difficulty and then the cost per click. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So what this means is this is how many people are actively typing in personal development in the US per month. 12,100 people. Now down here, this is a breakdown of what's highly searched, average search, and low search.
Oh
And
shit.
these are actual questions that people are typing in.
Right.
And it's got some of these key contexts, right? So these are like all your R's:
Mm-hmm.
can, how, what, which, who, why, will, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if I go over to like will, does personal, uh, so this is right here, does personal development mean would be a question that you could ask, right? Is personal development important? If I come over to the R's, are personal development blogs profitable,
Right.
right? So that's a query that people are typing in. This is
Okay.
all of these queries make up this overarching search volume. The cost per click is if you wanted to advertise Peak Performance Academy and be in the
Uh-huh.
top spot in Google to capture some of this audience. That means that you would have to pay at a minimum $3.33 to be the very first ad that you see, which means that when someone clicks that ad and they land on your page, you are
Mm-hmm.
paying Google $3.33 every click.
Okay, gotcha.
So
That's the
then,
pick.
but this
That's
is
my
a great
yeah.
piece that you can use to help with your content, right? And even if you just started with this, right? So look at all these topics about, and this is just personal development. Like I didn't even go down any type of rabbit hole. Like you could add in,
Fitness.
anything else for the words. So can personal growth be negative? There's a great hook question for you,
Yeah. Wow.
right? And people are actually searching for that. So now that's what it means to bring back relevant content. So from an SEO perspective, you would write, say, an article for your
Yeah.
website that answers this question. And then you would write an article that answers this question, and then this question, and then this question, and then this question, and so on and so forth. And then you would interlink those articles on your website. So then that way, Google, when it goes out and scrapes the internet and it goes into a deeper conversation about how Google does
Nice.
that, but when it indexes your page to be relevant in a search result, if you answered every single one of these questions on your web page and you consistently answered these types of questions, there's a good likelihood that you are going to come up in your search rankings and you are going to start to rank for these types of things because you're giving back relevant information to people that they're
Yeah.
actually searching. So,
Yeah.
do personal development books work? Another great hook for you.
That is good.
Can self development be a hobby? These are all hook questions for you. How personal development affects your life.
Yeah, I mean,
What are personal development goals?
I'm gonna play around with it. I
So
don't
this
think
is
you
a
did.
good one to just kind of give you a good
Yeah.
starting block. So you could
Yeah.
throw in like web development, right? Like if I throw in web development, it's gonna make me want to log in. So you get like one query, and then you got to log in.
Yeah.
So that's just well, I'll do it later. But that's a good example of like how you can leverage tools like that
Yeah.
to start to get an idea. So that's one step of it. And then it goes into the frequency in which you release content. So if you start doing it daily, then the bots. So there are actual machines and bots that Google sends out. They're called spiders that literally crawl every single website.
Okay.
So these spiders, their job is to grab the URL, which is literally the long tail URL, right? Research the content on there. It's looking for relevant keywords back to these queries that they're
Hmm.
getting, and then they're going to index you, meaning that that you're going to be in their database, and then once you're indexed, then it's going to score your content. The general criteria for scoring on what is relevant content versus not, and it goes into much more deeper than this, but to start, just to give you a good starting block, is the keyword density. So is it keyword rich and not like keyword packed? So there used to be, to give you an idea, there used to be like keyword packing was a strategy back in like the early 2000s, where literally, for instance, personal development, people would do this, and it's a shady practice, and it's not really that good anyways. But they would take the word personal development. Let's say that your background on your website was white. They'd write it in white, and they'd list it all over the back end of the site. So you, as a user, didn't see it, but Google would scrape that and be like, "Oh,
Oh,
it's listed 10,000 times on the site. It must be personal development," even though it had nothing to do with it. It's gotten way smarter than that. So just because you write a piece of content that says personal development 1,000 times in it doesn't mean that it's going to rank. If anything, it's going to be bad. Because think
yeah.
about how you actually communicate with a human being, because this is very SEO is very human centric. And one of the reasons why I love SEO and organics, and why I typically start most of my marketing, like when I onboard a customer, the very first thing that we talk about is organics before I ever go into pay per click. Because if your
Okay.
organics aren't dialed, then paying money for something isn't going to work.
I got it.
And you want to think about it in the way that you would actually communicate with a human being. So you might list personal development one time in that blog or in that article and never list it again, and you could be the top ranking post because you are answering so many different queries and questions, and the information is so relevant to today, to 2024, to what people are actually searching for. And the way that they measure that is time on page. So once someone clicks
On page.
that link, your link, how much time do they spend on your page?
Hmm.
Do they spend 15 seconds and then they bounce? That's a low time on page. Versus if they spend 5 minutes and they're constantly scrolling up and down. So user interaction also matters. Are they scrolling up and down on your page? Are they interacting with your page? Are they clicking through multiple links from that on your page? All of that is relevant um, to the actual results that you're going to get. So time on page is super important. And then there's backlinks, which in the SEO world and organic like search traffic world, backlinks are the equivalent to followers, if you will, on social media.
Backlinks.
That's that's or people sharing your content, right? That's the equivalent of a backlink. So that would mean like, I link Peak Performance Academy on my site, right?
Hmm.
So you write an article and I give you credit and I link it back from my site. So how many other websites
Or
are
promoting.
pointing back to your site to say that you are in fact the authority on this subject? And then are those sites relevant to your subject matter? So are those sites other personal development type businesses or websites? Or like for instance, if you got 10,000 backlinks from funny cat video web pages pointing back to you as personal development, your domain authority is actually going to drop
Hmm.
because it's not relevant. And the algorithm's smart enough to suss that out to realize that you're probably using something from the bot
All
to
right.
get those backlinks versus like Men's Health, Men's Journal, things like that linking back to you, who are already an established authority. They have a very high domain authority, and they're saying, "Hey, Peak Performance Academy Samnang.com is relevant. Look at this article. That's
Yeah.
going to up your search traffic. So it's really not like, yeah, there's some technical components to it, but this is why even on like TikTok and like what I was saying, like it doesn't matter, dude. Like don't overthink the analytics right now. You should be trying to put out content that helps people, even your current audience, become better, and that they
Yeah.
want to consume it and they want to come back and get more. So that framework that I gave you for virality isn't some hack that's going to make you go viral if you use it all the time. It is a
Okay.
framework in which we consume content that makes
Okay.
sense to us, and it makes us, it impacts our lives, right? So for instance, like in that last example, do personal development books work for you, right? Was one of the things, like, do personal development books actually work? If I'm considering getting my first Tony Robbins book, or like one of these, any of these, right? If I've never done it before and I'm considering that, and I get a piece of content from you, and that content is like, do personal development work? Well, now that's relevant to me. You got my attention from the hook. I'm actively thinking about getting a book for the first time, and I'm not decided. So I'm going to stay to watch the content. And then the value is you explaining your experience. I've read 150 books, and I'm quite frankly, the only time that any books ever worked for me is when I started practicing it as I read it.
Yeah.
That's the payoff right then and there.
Yeah.
So if you are considering getting a personal development book, if you're just going to read it, like, it doesn't matter. If you don't practice anything, it doesn't matter how much you read. It's not worth
Yeah.
your time. Yeah. Invest in it as if you're investing $10,000 to pay for that book. And if you're buying it for $10,000, please believe you're going to try every single thing inside of that, because it's a huge monetary commitment and investment. So envision that that is a much bigger investment than just reading the book, because just reading the book isn't going to do it for you.
Yeah.
Like a piece of content like that, to someone who's considering getting their first personal development book, is going to be huge. I'm going to stay for the whole thing. And then more importantly, never mind the analytics. I, as a human being, am going to go off and I'm going to go purchase my first book. And I'm going to consume that book. And I'm probably going to follow you because you helped me.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
then I'm going to come back and I'm going to watch more of your content. And I'm going to keep doing that. And if your content is constantly giving me relevant tips, so the tips idea is a good idea, but this is that framework of the hook
Book
value
value.
payoff, right? Because that's how I'm getting information back to you. Even in this interaction, what's the hook for sitting here and spending the extra 30 minutes with me on the call? The hook is you believe, you have conviction that Danny Marowinsky knows how to do digital marketing. That's your hook. The value is me sharing my stories with you over the course of the time, and you and building that trust that I am in fact an authority in the place.
Yeah.
The
Absolutely.
payoff is what I'm giving you right now that you're actually writing down the notes from, right? Like, that's the actual payoff. And because of this interaction, you will be able to go and apply it. And you've now learned something. You've upped your game a little bit. You've learned a new skill, and now you can go practice it, right?
Yeah.
So the hook value payoff framework isn't necessarily always just short 30-second clips. It can be long form content. It can be a
Mm-hmm.
regular conversation. It can be in your coaching practices. It can be in a written form. It doesn't matter what it is. It's just a generalized framework that we as human beings are used to seeing. It captures attention, and then it gives them something tangible to go do. And I
Okay.
promise you that if you keep that as the founding principle of what you're doing in all of these things, it will pay off for you in the algorithms. Because at the end of the day, the algorithm only cares about attention. It's trying to just get the most attention digitally. And Google's competing with Bing, and it's competing with Facebook, and it's competing with Snapchat and Instagram and TikTok and all these other places where we go and spend time looking at and consuming content. And when we're on a different platform, Google doesn't like that. They'd rather you be on their platform and going through YouTube, because they own that, and they're going to trigger more ads, and you might click the ad and they get paid.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's the way the whole game works.
All right, man. I got to take a break.
Cool, bro. All right, so
uh,
we got it. Hey, one other last thought for you, and then let's drop. How do you feel about maybe bringing on our first guest on episode 10?
Yeah, we're on episode 7.
I think we're on 7. We're either,
Okay.
yeah.
You have a guest lined up,
I said we bring on Amon.
Amen? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I think that'd be great.
Dude, he threw his hand up. He was like the first. I want to be your first guest. I say we bring him on. I got a couple others that
Yeah,
would be interested in joining. I definitely have a bunch that would be interested in joining that have like really cool stories. I just think, as we try it, we can guinea pig with him and see how it goes.
yeah. I
But we
think,
probably should, and maybe we even like pick his brain
yeah,
and be like, hey man, what questions should we ask?
yeah. And I think that's good. I think it'll inspire other people to podcast. Well, it's if we could talk about it, it's not really. It wasn't crazy hard to do, but I guess we could talk about it too. But yeah, I think that's a good idea. Episode 10. Yeah, I'm
Cool.
okay. Yeah.
All
Okay.
right. All right,
All
brother.
right.
I'll see you on Friday.
Great podcast.
Yeah, bud. See you, man.